Hi, I'm Jeff from New York. Please like and subscribe.
Young Billionaire, Season 2, Episode 45, The Water Fight. Sue became extremely nervous as everyone looked at her. She clenched her fists and turned her head away.
I've lost my job.
She tried to say calmly.
What?
Mira said in shock.
When did it happen?
It's been more than 3 months.
She said timidly, her heart beating heavily.
3 months? Oh my. How have you been covering your expenses?
Mira glared at her. This daughter of hers wanted to worry her to death.
I'm out of work.
Sue said. Hearing her words, Mira excitedly stood up and was about to slap her, but Rose stopped her in time.
You're such a bad daughter. You really make me worry. Really, this is such a big deal. You've been in this situation for so long and you didn't even tell us about it. You're not 16 anymore. You're 26. So even now you're still as arrogant as ever. Let's see how you're going to live in the future. Don't come asking me for money. I don't have any either.
Her mother cried. Mira was furious. Her face was terrifyingly gloomy as she asked.
Is this the fault of that stinking brat? It must be him who caused you to lose your job. Tell me that you're looking for a new job and that everything will be fine from now on. That guy's already lied to you so much. What can you say to me now?
Sue sat on the sofa in silence with her head down. Her mother had never shown her any patience, which is why she hadn't told her that she was jobless.
Damn it! Look at what he's turned Sue into. This person is really malicious.
Glenn said. Although Katie and Sue didn't have a particularly good relationship, Glenn and Sue were on good terms. As a brother-in-law and the only man in the family, Glenn, naturally, had to stand up for his sister-in-law.
Mom, that Brad is in the bathroom right now. I'll go find this bastard and ask him if he has any plans for Sue. If he dares to mess around in front of me, I'll fix him.
Right. Glenn, go to the bathroom and drag him out. You don't need to be polite with him. You just have to have control yourself and don't let anything happen to him. Just make that brat leave Sue of his own accord.
Mira felt that letting Glenn solve the problem at that very moment, for once and for all, was a good idea.
I'll go with you. If that Brad dares to resist, I won't be polite. I'll spank him.
Martin also joined in the ruckus. If Jeff broke off his relationship with Sue, it would make it easier for him to pursue her.
Good. You two go. You can do whatever you want, and you can use your manly methods to solve the problem.
Mira urged.
What are you doing? What does my lack of work have to do with him?
How could Sue not be anxious when she heard that Glenn and Martin wanted to beat Jeff up? She stood up and was about to stop her brother-in-law.
It has nothing to do with him. Sue, I think you've been brainwashed by that man.
Mira stopped Sue and looked at Glenn.
Quickly go find him. Don't worry about her.
Martin, let's go.
Glenn called out, and the two of them headed for the bathroom.
What are you guys doing? Come back here. It's none of his business.
Sue panicked. She wanted to grab hold of Glenn and Martin, but Mira and Katie held her back. She wanted to break free, but she couldn't escape from their grasp.
Let me go. Let me go. Get out of the way. You guys, come back. My job loss has nothing to do with him.
Sue was almost fighting with her mother and Katie. She shouted.
Jeff, quickly leave. Go. Go.
The reason you're so afraid is because you know that he's the culprit, right?
Katie hugged Sue and said,
That guy came to our mother's house today. Do you think we'll be able to make him leave?
She looked at Glenn.
Hubby, Sue admits that the Brad harmed her. There's no need to be nice to him.
Rose anxiously stood beside Sue and everyone else. She didn't know what she could do. Seeing the three adults struggling, she could only say helplessly,
All of you, stop fighting. Please stop fighting.
Glenn and Martin had already reached the door to the bathroom. They saw a young man with his back to them, wearing earphones and listening to music while wearing plastic gloves to wipe the toilet bowl. Beside him was a bucket of water with a green rat.
Brat, you're intentionally pretending that you can't hear me, right?
Glenn said, but the young man kept on cleaning the toilet.
Damn you. Get him from me, Martin.
Glenn raised his chin toward Martin, and the two of them slowly approached the young man from behind with evil looks in their eyes.
Idiot. Before you even try to put on an act and melt Sue's heart, I'm going to pour water over your head.
Martin walked behind Jeff and slowly squatted down. He lifted the bucket full of dirty water up and over Jeff's shoulder. Glenn gave him a thumbs up, just as Martin was about to pour the water over him. Jeff turned his head to reach for the green rag. Seeing the young man's face, Glenn was shocked. He made a grab for Martin's arm that was holding the bucket.
Ah!
Cried Martin as Glenn jerked his arm. The bucket tipped and drenched Martin from head to toe. The water went into his mouth as well. One could smell the detergent mixed with the dirt as Martin spit the filthy liquid out of his mouth. His stomach rolled, and he almost vomited on the spot. Jeff and Glenn only got a few splashes on their pant legs.
Haha, why are you watering your own head? Damn, I got a kick out of that.
Jeff took out his earphones and looked at the rest of his body. Luckily, he wasn't wet.
Why are you?
Only then did Jeff notice that the person standing in front of him was Glenn, who had begged him to rent him the villa. Glenn smiled stiffly as Martin was standing beside him. He didn't dare to admit that he recognized Jeff when he was standing at the bathroom door. Jeff had his back to him. Also, his clothes were very different from what he normally wore. Glenn hadn't recognized him until he had turned around, and his heart almost flew out of his throat when he saw Jeff's face.
What are you all doing?
Jeff was curious as to why Glenn and Martin were standing behind him.
Stinking brat. You lied to Sue. Glenn and I are here to beat you up.
Halfway through Martin's words, Glenn's fist landed on his nose. He abruptly stopped speaking and let out a painful cry.
Why are you cleaning the toilet? This is too rude. Please stop doing that.
This was a very rich man, one who had bought 2 villas, including one worth $40 million. And there he was cleaning a toilet. Not to mention that Glenn was also borrowing Jeff's villa in the Green Island Garden District. It was like a huge joke.
Please come out.
Glenn said, throwing away the rag that Jeff held in his hand and inviting him out of the bathroom.
What's going on?
Martin wondered. He had been drenched in toilet water, so he still didn't understand.
What is Glenn doing?
He thought. He wiped himself with a towel and walked out of the bathroom. Sue and the other 2 ladies were still struggling with each other, while Rose stood to the side. She was unable to make a move. They saw Glenn and Jeff walk out of the bathroom with a smile. The 3 of them stopped. Sue and Mira hesitated.
Didn't Glenn and Martin say they were going to beat Jeff up in the bathroom? How come it seemed like Glenn was trying to please him?
Katie's heart skipped a beat.
How could it be him?
She thought. Rose also felt the same way when she saw Jeff. She had a strained feeling in her heart. Seeing that Katie was also there, Jeff made the connection that Katie and Sue were related. He couldn't help but sigh.
This was a small world.
When he saw Rose, his gaze only paused on her for a moment before he looked away.
Glenn, he was the one who tricked Sue. Why are you treating him like this? Hurry up and kick him out.
Mira looked angrily at the contented smiles on their faces. She felt that Glenn was being unreliable this time around. Glenn couldn't think of what to say at that moment. He rolled his eyes as he walked over to Mira with a fake smile.
Mom, it might just be a misunderstanding. I think he's a pretty decent man.
Yeah. Mom, didn't Sue say that Mr. Florento wasn't lying to her? Right, Sue?
Katie also spoke up for Jeff.
Yes. He didn't lie to me.
Sue was stunned, but she didn't understand why her sister would speak kindly on her behalf.
Maybe we overthought this. Mom, please calm down first. Let's sit down and have a chat.
Katie said as it occurred to her that her sister should try to catch this billionaire. Mira was also curious about the sudden change in the attitude of her daughter and son-in-law. She was reluctant to sit down with Jeff, but she ended up sitting on the sofa.
Jeff, do you want to sit too?
Katie asked carefully. Jeff nodded and sat beside Sue. Seeing Jeff sitting together with her aunt and thinking about how he was now her aunt's boyfriend, Rose felt sad for some reason. She turned her head away and no longer looked at him.
It's just this loser, so why should I care about him?
She thought. Although she was comforting herself, Rose's heart was still a little messy. She felt as if she had lost something. Martin also walked over and explained why he was wet. He said he had accidentally fallen in the bathroom. He wanted to move a stool to sit next to Sue, but when he heard Sue's unintentional mutter about how smelly he was, he tactfully moved farther away from her. He gave Jeff a look that was filled with anger. Glenn originally wanted everyone to sit together and let Jeff and Sue's matter pass. But Mira still had a bad impression of Jeff. Glenn and Katie were also afraid that If they continued to speak up for him, it would arouse their suspicion and disgust. If they messed up a good thing, it would be bad news for their villa rental. Glenn brought up a distraction just in time.
It's almost noon. Mom, let's go to my villa. We'll have lunch together.
Glenn suggested as he looked at the others.